Hi, I'm Shlomo, and I believe this is a beginning of a long relationship between me and you, where all of us will benefit in a great way. I was looking for a studio for a while, and I was told that I need to have green background so I can insert different things after that, so I picked up this green background. I hope you like it better than the green background they were talking about. This is my backyard and it's raining right now, so you may hear the rain. I hope it doesn't interfere with my voice. So, few words about me. Who am I and how did I get here? I was born in Poland. As a child, I moved to Israel with my parents. I grew up in Israel. This is probably where I absorbed most of my character, if there is such a thing. And then I matured in Canada. And this is the final product you see here. So what is my purpose? What do I want to achieve here? Well, to sum it in few words, I actually want to change the world. To change it the way you know it, the way we know it, in a very profound way. And obviously I'm going to start one person at a time, and I'm starting with you. And hopefully by the time I'm done, the servers will actually crash on any video that I go on. No, I'm not joking. So, since I was very young, I realized that not everything happens the way it's supposed to happen. And I also realized that there is some kind of beyond, which once in a while in particular situations I would get a glimpse into that beyond. And it took me many years, I guess you can see on my hair, to understand and hopefully to know what is beyond. And this is really what I want to share with you here. I am doing this particular one in combination with reality transurfing, but at the end of the day, reality transurfing is only a piece in the whole puzzle that I want to introduce and solve for you here, or solve it for us. Now, Vadim Zeland, the author of Reality Transurfing, wrote on his website that the secret lies on the surface. And nobody can find it because everybody looks under. Everybody's trying to dig and look into all kind of, you name it. It's probably 20 million of different ways to dig, to look for the secret if you just look on YouTube. But the truth is that it's right on the surface. And I will attempt to share with you how you can see it. Because once you see it, you realize it's on the surface, and it's very simple. Let me tell you a bit about a project I did a couple of years ago, because this will be a good way to enter where I want to go. The project was called the Healing Olive, and it's a website called thehealingolive.com. And what I've done with the Healing Olive, which was totally free, was no charge for anything, it was an experiment to actually see or prove to myself that what I think is beyond is actually there. What I've done, I offer to anybody who is interested to provide a picture of themselves on the site with their information, address, etc. And I will send them a little bottle of olive oil, and if they use it as I instruct them, their reality will actually change. They will have a different reality in their lives. Well, it sounds totally crazy. I don't think anybody has done anything like this before. And it was a tremendous success. The testimonials are there. Said that over 80% of the 300 and some people that actually used the healing olive, that's right, came up with some amazing stories of what happened to them. You can go and have a look for yourself. So what was I trying to show? What was I trying to prove? There are two things I was trying to prove. One, I was trying to show that reality is actually not fixed. It can be manipulated or twisted or changed. And the other thing was that if you can go and reach beyond, you will find the power there that will do it for you, because I cannot do it. But in the beyond, there is a power which I call the supreme intelligence. Some people call it God. I wouldn't call it the universe, because that's a downgrade. And once you realize that the power is there and you learn how to talk to that power, then magic can happen. And it will happen in these videos too, because you will notice that when you watch these videos, your reality will change, just like it happened in the healing olive. There's no difference here. It's the same type of magic. I hope to show you a world actually that you never imagined. And like I said, it's on the surface. So let me demonstrate something to you here. Because I think that demonstrations are the easiest way to transfer knowledge and make the point without confusing you. So I draw a line on this paper. Can you see? I just drew a line on this paper. Let's make it into an 8. And if I ask you, did I actually draw the line on the paper? Yes, I did. There was paper there, and I took this marker and I drew a line, and the line is there. Okay, now let's try it in a different way. Here is a little tablet. There's a program here where you can actually draw on the screen. So here I do the same thing. I drew the 8. And I'm going to ask you, did I draw on this screen? And you will say, yeah, it's right there. But the answer is no, I did not draw on that screen. What I did was I went over a bunch of sensors that are installed on this screen, and I sent a signal to the computer exactly what points I went through, and in return the computer drew the line on the screen. I did not draw it. If you switch off that iPad, you will see that there is no line there. See the difference? In the first example, there was paper, and there was a pen, and there was a line that I drew on that paper. In the second example, I drew a line, but I did not really draw it on that screen. The computer did it. Now, this concept is central to everything that I'm going to tell you, and to the way this universe, this reality of ours works. And what I mean by that is that you create your own reality, but you don't create it directly on the paper. You send it to that beyond, or call it collective conscious. You send it from your mind and your heart. It's just like Vadim says in the book, when your heart and your mind join, then things happen. But your mind and your heart join all the time. You actually send your request for the reality continuously. And that line that you saw on the tablet, you send it continuously, as long as you live. And the universe, or the Supreme Intelligence sends you back a line which draws your reality also continuously, because when it stops to send you that line, you're actually dead. You're not alive anymore. And there is something interesting here. You know how in the book it talks about outer intention as opposed to inner intention. And outer intention is actually a point where you, for some reason, stop sending that line. You stop drawing that line. Either you got really scared by something, or you got into some emergency situation, or could be many reasons that for a short time you stop sending that line. And what happens, because you are still alive, you continue to receive your reality. The reality doesn't stop. But at that point, the reality is actually what you call the flow. It is determined by the Supreme Intelligence. It's not something that you request. And usually that reality will be perfect. And I'll give you some examples. I know it's kind of hard to comprehend. I'll give you a few examples from my own life and how I realized that this is what happens. So the first example, some years ago, I was driving in January here in Canada from Calgary to Vancouver. And in January, it's usually -10, -20, and the roads are full of snow and ice. And I was coming down from the highest point, it's called Rogers Pass, with a car which wasn't very stable, was kind of a square big minivan. I was coming down a very long hill. There was somebody with me, so I know it was real. Otherwise, I would think maybe I was dreaming. And I was going roughly 100 kilometers an hour, which was kind of stupid, but I was younger. And at some point, I'll take this iPad to demonstrate what happened. Let's say that I'm going down this hill, right? I'm going down this hill. I hit some black ice on the road, and the van went like this. And I was now going sideways at 100 or 90 kilometers an hour. I was going sideways on that road. On one side, there was a cliff, and on the other side, there were big logging trucks coming up. And if that van moved more than, say, 1 meter either way, we would be dead. But it didn't. It just kept going sideways, and then it actually went in reverse. So now I was facing the downhill with the back of the car, and I was still going 100 or something like this. So now, what are my chances to survive here? Probably you would say that it's very close to zero. I was going backwards on ice, and if the ice would stop when I was going sideways, the van would actually flip and I would roll over who knows where. But now I was going backwards, very high speed, no control, and sliding down on that ice. Now, what happened is that when I started to roll and turn with that on that road, I actually felt that I'm not part of what's happening. I let go of the steering wheel, I let go of the brakes, and I was just looking, and I felt like I'm an observer. I was not part of what was happening. I was an observer. It's almost like people say out of body experience. I was not involved in anything. I just let the thing happen, and I was observing. I was not scared. I was nothing. And you know what happened? The road, when you go down these mountain roads, they don't go straight. They turn back. It's like a U. We arrived at a U-turn, actually, kind of a U-turn. And there was a flat surface there, and that was the point where they collected all the snow from the whole area. And we hit that mountain of snow backwards with that car. We created a maybe 10-meter tunnel. Could hardly see the light in the front, and the car stopped. It was silence, and nothing happened. Not even a scratch, even no damage to the car. So we drove out of that cave, and we're facing the wrong way, we turn around and we continue to Vancouver. So what I learned from it, not immediately, but over the years, is that what happened here is that I stopped sending any signals to that reality creation engine. And because I stopped, it actually fixed my reality perfectly. If I was panicking or I was trying to send any kind of a signal, and what it means in a physical way, that I would hit the brake or try to turn the steering, obviously I wouldn't be here talking to you. So the point I want to make, I have more examples, but I see that takes too long, so I will skip. The point I'm trying to make is that what external intention or outer intention means is when you let the supreme intelligence or the beyond, I still have to find a name for it. I guess if I was religious, I would call it God. When you let that entity create your reality and you don't get involved, then it will always create a perfect reality for you, because it cannot make mistakes. Now, let me show you another demonstration of something. And I'm showing you these things, and in future videos I will expand much more. I just want to plant some ideas in your mind. I'll show you another thing. In our lives, there are certain things that we do and we take it for granted that they are normal. Like I can move my hand right now that way, and it moved that way. I didn't need any magic to do it. I can move my pen and hold it that way. Again, it's that way. And if you remember in the book, I think it's at the very beginning of Reality Transurfing, I think it's the most powerful sentence in there of the whole book, because if you get that one sentence, you got the whole book. He uses an example of getting up, going to the mailbox, and getting the newspaper. And he says, if you can do other things the same way, then you can do anything. You can perform magic. And he's 100% right. But what is the problem? Why don't we do it? So here is the problem. I'll show it to you in a totally different way. See, in our belief, in our reality, we have kind of a line, and everything that below that line we consider normal. So moving our foot, or going to get the newspaper, or I'm going to make a cup of coffee, this is all here. It's all normal. But if I was to say, oh, I'm going to now bend that pen by looking at it, that would be here. That's not normal. That's magic. I cannot really bend the pen, right? There is some people that they look at the spoon and they bend it, and for them it's here. That's why they can bend it. So anything that you don't believe that you can do, and you cannot convince yourself that you can do it, because you can never, even if you spend 20 years, you will never convince yourself that you can bend that pen by looking at it. Okay? So it will always be here. But if you could bring it down here, it would become normal. You could bend that pen anytime you wish. And this is a big thing, because in reality, that line doesn't exist. We create it. It doesn't exist. So what I'm saying is that you can do anything. You can split the moon. You can do anything, because reality is malleable. The problem is that we create that line, and it's like a wall. And I'll give you an example. There is a performer. His name is Lior Sushard. He's an Israeli guy, and he does all kind of. He calls himself a mentalist. And I think I posted a few of his shows, or maybe one show, on the Reality Transurfing Facebook, on the group. And he does some things that you cannot explain. And I did some research. I read his book. He wrote a book when he was younger, and he wrote about his childhood. And I think what happened there is that when he was a child, he realized that he can do certain things because he has some abilities that other people don't have. And he can do certain things. When he was a child, he realized that, for example, that if he believes that somebody writes a number and he believes that the number is XYZ, it will be XYZ. when he was a child. He also, when he was a child, he could move spoons and do stuff, and it happened. So what happened when he grew up, those acts were actually under the line for him. And that's why today he can go and perform and do what we call magic, which I believe is really not magic. He just changes reality. It may sound totally crazy, but I'm pretty sure this is what he does. He will maybe not even admit it because people will think he's talking nonsense. But the minute you bring something from here to here, you can do it all the time. It doesn't matter what it is. So that is a very, very, very important factor to understand reality transurfing. Because what he's saying in reality transurfing, in reality, is that if you move anything from here to here, then he calls it outer intention, it will happen. But you have to believe that it can happen, and you have to be comfortable in that new situation. If you are not comfortable in that new situation, then you don't believe it's going to happen, then it's not going to happen. So the key to success is our ability to feel natural and comfortable in the new situation we want to create, in the new reality that we want to create. Another thing I want to tell you, which again it may sound totally insane, but so was the healing olive, is that when you watch these videos, your reality will change. And I guarantee you that when you watch these videos, you will see over time, not very long time, your reality will change. The same as if you ordered that healing olive from me. And that's really the other aspect of these videos. So one is what I'm doing, and the other one is actually subconscious. You will see some changes in your reality for the better. And at the end of the day, I don't do these videos actually for reality transurfing, but I started here because I think that you people are much more open-minded and much more connected, and much easier for you to actually take a glimpse with me into the beyond. Thank you, and see you in the next video.